So maybe at this point we can open up for some discussion, and the team is very keen to receive challenges as well as comments and suggestions. Yes, I mean challenges are also contributive to knowledge building.
Well,
Yes,
I hate to keep pursuing this line, but maybe I relate it more to Kristine's earlier work. So I think that this discussion about the theoretical, so about data analysis, whether it's face-to-face or computer-based, but I think you really like the idea about that it has to be theoretically grounded. So I think you mentioned about theoretical assumption, which guide our research question and our analysis. So and Jingen also mentioned about the controversies at one point in time about people who go for the argumentation or the explanation framework. So I think it is something worth inquiring. I think that maybe I don't know whether Chris would like to comment on. I think that even in your example, you do look at explanation and argumentation. And I even think that these kind of moves, or that they really interact in a way. So I don't know whether it is. So I mean, I'm just commenting on whether we hear the main thrust of argumentation marker, more argument, longer thread, or whether, how do you think about, but I understand the theoretical assumption of knowledge building as, well, based on, earlier works more based on explanation, so, but I want to know more about the explanation argumentation relation, and I know you have published on that, or, yeah, so I don't know.
Well, I could make a short comment. In the same way that Nancy asks, is there knowledge building going on in the knowledge forum? And it may not be the case always. In the same way you can ask, when you do argumentation, is there knowledge building? And there isn't always knowledge building with argumentation either, because the question that you need to ask is, well, what is the nature of the argumentation? And the nature of an explanation, because argumentation and explanation are closely related. That's one of the results that we came to, is that we had explanations, but they were argumentatively oriented, because the explanations were being given in order to convince other participants of a certain viewpoint. So it's not always easy to distinguish between explanations and argumentations. You need to look into the whole interactional context. And as far as being able to say whether argumentation is something that is going towards knowledge building, well, I would say that the type of argumentation that I'm interested in, and the type of argumentation that I try to get students to engage in, is definitely going towards knowledge building. It's an integral part of knowledge building for me, because, for example, argumentation helps students to disentangle notions that are posing a problem for them. If they don't agree on some aspect of a problem-solving situation, well, maybe it's because they don't have the same definition for a certain term, and that's stopping them from going forward in the problem resolution. So they need to discuss that, and they need to understand, well, what do you think about this, and what do I think about it, and can we come to a consensus so we can move forward in resolving the problem? And that kind of argumentative discourse is really important for knowledge building, and really integral to knowledge building, I would argue. And that's just one example of how argumentation can be important, and there are a lot of examples that we could cite in the literature. So that's kind of a short answer too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
I just want to say that I agree with that. I mean, I definitely see a role for argumentation in that I've looked at over the last 10 years, and a lot of it has to do with things like, for example, students having already explained something to others, and feeling that others are not buying the explanation, or they're not moving in the direction where to move forward from that. So then taking another tack on, bringing it back to someone to try and promote this idea basically, or saying something like, okay, found a textbook and here this person is talking about the same idea that this person is talking about. try and gain some support for ideas that are out there that are not just part of the explanations per se. So it's already understood by some people in the community, but it hasn't made impact on the community yet. So I think those kind of things, I think setting goals and finding out what's going to be important for the community to work on, like all of those kind of things are very argumentative. And they are like that in science as well. But, so I think that's where I see the potential for argumentation as a framework to be very useful. So the question is whether or not what we've seen so far is kind of focusing on that.
Well, actually, we are looking at argumentation or the scaffolding in knowledge form. And you're asking, is that knowledge building in knowledge form? Then I would say knowledge form is an environment which the didactic and the principles of knowledge building is embedded. So you would expect that there would be much more support for knowledge building than in other environments like Blackboard or discussion boards. So I think it's a more interesting question if there's more knowledge building than in other environments. So that we have an insight if you are going on the good direction in using arguments, or using more scaffolds, are we using the right support, that people are not if they have the highest level of knowledge building, but if they are supported enough to go towards the knowledge building, I think. And that's a bit, well, in a lot of the research we are only looking at the knowledge form, and actually we should look at knowledge form and other environments if they are doing better, I think.